Let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Parks and Public Works Committee to order. It looks like everybody is in attendance, and City Clerk Dean, I'm sure you've already taken attendance because you're amazing at that. Let's start with agenda approval. Anything on the agenda that you guys want to address, or are you happy with it the way it's written?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we are approved. We'll move on to public comments. Doesn't look like there's anybody here to make public comment unless somebody here wants to be public for a minute. No. Okay, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from our October 21st meeting. Did you see anything wrong with the minutes?
No, I'll make a motion on that. To approve.
Thank you. Second.
All right, it's approved, and we moved on to AB 25-099. Agreement for consultant services with Herrera for community-based social marketing campaign, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. Way more exciting than the title.
Sorry, my computer keeled over on the way here, so I'm just getting it back up. I should. Able to share. And we're done. Okay. Evening, committee members. So, as mentioned, I'm here to talk about AB 25-0099, which is a contract with Herrera. This is the contract that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Just to jog your memory, it's for the community-based social marketing campaign. It's a requirement of the NPDES contract. We got to essentially try to do a behavior change campaign within the community. And we selected Herrera to do it. And they said, let's do this big campaign up on the ridge to try to get folks to do a lawn care, more natural lawn care, and we'll do, get a competitive basin grouping together where there's going to be a competition essentially to pit different basins against each other. These are different drainage basins, and try to get all of them to kind of participate and start caring for more natural lawn care campaigns. And the question that we kind of came up was from Councilmember Holloway was, is there extra fluff in this contract essentially? Are we spending more money on this than we needed to? Which is a valid question. And he just wanted us to kind of make sure we're doing our due diligence.
How much over budget were we on that? We're gonna.
So the contract is for $81,000. We get it's kind of, I don't know if red herring is the right word. It's not exactly it, but we get a grant for $130,000. Sorry, let me, right there. So we get a grant for $130,000. This one's for $81,000, and we'd previously spent $68,000. So this would be $20,000 over that grant allocation. The reason I called it a kind of a red herring is we get this grant to implement this NPDES contract. We do most of that implementation in-house, right? It's, our permitting department is already doing the work in there. Our storm crew is already doing the stormwater operations crew. It's kind of these weird oddball items like the stormwater management action plan or this community-based social marketing campaigns, these things that we have trouble doing in-house. And that's what we choose to use this grant money on. But we could use it for the operations if we wanted to. We could use it for just other items essentially. But really, to me, it feels like this is a good use of those dollars because we essentially contract all of that work out of house. So that's why I call it a red herring in that sense. But yeah, so if we were just to allocate that grant money towards these two items that are kind of towards these, just overseeing the grant and then overseeing this community-based social marketing campaign, we are $20,000 over that. Does that?
So in your opinion, the idea that we're over budget on this is a misinterpretation of how funds are allocated?
I don't,
Potentially.
misinterpretation
It's
isn't the
another
word.
interpretation of how.
Exactly,
funds are
exactly. Yep,
and
yep.
you're interpreting it differently.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
These are things that we just have to do. We have to have a stormwater operations crew. We have to create these campaigns. We have to do this map. We have to do this map. We have to do that, all this stuff. And because ecology knows that they're giving us a lot of over just requirements, essentially, things that are going beyond the, unfunded mandates, essentially.
Right.
They're saying, you know what, here's 130 grand, help cover some of the costs. And part of that reason is because even if there wasn't this NPDES grant, we should still have a stormwater crew, right? We still would need to maintain our stormwater system. So should they be giving us money towards that from the state level? That's open to debate, but sorry.
Counterpoint.
So we're partially missing the point.
Okay.
The major project, at least in irrigation, is the new reservoir. That's gonna be slightly over. In order to do all the projects we talked about, we bonded to a level maxing out our bond burden on utilities. Okay, so we're there overall. We need to look at each and everything that comes through to try to pull away from that edge where we can. Okay, it's not that this individual project, great, has a grant. Bringing on a grant, great, it doesn't add.
Well, the grant's being
overall.
applied to this one.
Grant being applied to this one, grant could be applied otherwise. So I mean, it behooves us to look at each one that comes before us and say, are we getting the appropriate amount of service at the appropriate cost for what we need? That goes for this and any other contract that comes before us.
Perfect, exactly. So we just wanted to look at this contract. We said, great, this sounds like an awesome project, right? But is there fluff in there? Do we need to do as much as that? Because we do need to hit the requirement from the NPDES, right? We have to check that box. That's non-negotiable. But how we hit that and check that box is what's up for discussion. And that's what Council Member Holloway was saying is, are we really going like way above and beyond? Is there just a lot of fluff in this contract? And I didn't have a great answer for him 2 weeks ago. And so that's what I kind of went back on and looked into. And that's what I'm here to present tonight. So I did the worst thing possible and put a box of text into our presentation. I also printed it out and highlighted what we're going to talk. Printed it out. Where did it go? Oh, yeah. I printed out the permit language too, so you can read it, and highlighted the specific bits. Just really for your reference, you don't need to do it, but.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank
Go. Go. And one down here that's mis-highlighted for you guys. But. The reason I'm giving you this wall of text on this and handing this out is because I want you to see how vague ecology's language is with this, and why I didn't really necessarily have a great answer 2 weeks ago as to, are you hitting all the metrics? Are we going way above and beyond? Well, the answer is it's tough to know because the requirements are so dang vague.
First of all, I want to applaud you for blaming this problem on ecology. Very effective solution.
Thanks. But next, so what they do give us on top of that paragraph that's in there, on the back is really where the language is that you'll see is highlighted. They do give this nice 150-page guidance document that you can use for creating these behavior change campaigns. And it's not, you don't have to follow this, is what they say. That's essentially the first paragraph in this guidance document.
So when you think you're getting guidance, you're not.
But it's helpful information, right? And because we're not, Seattle, I'm not a social marketing campaign expert, I'm going to follow this guidance document. is essentially what I'm getting at. And so I met with our consultant and kind of went over that exact question. Hey, is it what, let's go back to the drawing board a little bit. We don't need to, recreate the whole process, but let's see what could we do to trim this out, or what items are in this scope that we wanted to get rid of. And so what we came up with, that they were still willing to put their name on it, right? They don't want to put their name on something that they think is just bad or garbage or doesn't meet the requirements in their opinion. And so what we came up with was this targeted natural lawn care campaign is what we called it. So similar idea to what we did previously. But it is essentially creating that behavior change or doing that natural lawn care, but focusing it on a singular neighborhood, call it. We just highlighted this area at the north side of Douglas, just arbitrarily. We just said, hey, what about this area? It's got a park nearby that would be great for having a demonstration lawn on it. And this would just,
Azalea?
yep, exactly. So we could do something at Azalea Park there, or on that green strip along Douglas on the way there, just because there's a lot of space. And it would really just limit the scope, right? We're sending out less mailers. There's going to be less signs. There's going to be less outreach. And so that would naturally bring down the costs, but it would still be a behavior change campaign that's measurable. And at the end of the cycle, we could say, did this work? Did this not work? And then from there, we could say for the next permit cycle, bring it up, bring it to the whole Snoqualmie Ridge, or bring it citywide, kind of like what we talked about earlier. And so that's essentially what we came up with, which was as good reduction of scope, reduction of cost, but still hitting the guidelines that they felt that we needed to hit, and getting the metrics and final report that we did. And so another wall of text, but the important bit in this is that this would end up costing $73,000. So that's about an $8,000 reduction. And we felt that this was the lowest cost that we can go, essentially, with this kind of behavior change campaign.
Yes. Okay. What made you decide on that particular neighborhood? Was it a number of houses? Was it
It was number of houses with a park nearby. So we're not settled on that, right? So if we decide to go this route, then that can be an open discussion about which neighborhood we want to do. But the big thing was we wanted a large enough neighborhood that might be all in one drainage basin, and then also with a park nearby that has space for a demonstration lawn. And so parks that are 100% soccer field or something, pickleball courts wouldn't work for that reason.
Right.
And so that's kind of why we highlighted that, but that's just example. We're not settled on it. Could be a discussion if this is the route that we want to go.
I don't have a problem with using that neighborhood. I was just wondering how you had chosen that one.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
Yep. And so just to jog.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, while I appreciated all of the information you included in the packet, how to do the behavioral change campaign study, the studies that indicated or gave us the theories behind it and how to make it measurable and such. And I realize this is a requirement for the NPDES permitting and things like that from ecology. I also want to make sure that however we scale it down, or whatever way we decide to do this,
Councilor Cotton, please talk into the mic.
that we actually also, as we had briefly talked about at the previous meeting, make sure that we have resource information, because the nice thing about these types of projects, both the physical and the social media type of things, is that they raise questions, and that we still incorporate the website as a source, or the public Parks and Public Works section as a resource for questions about what things are okay to do. We were talking about like
Yep.
alternative products or techniques or whatever it is, but
Exactly. So as part of this scope, we'd still have to work with the ROA, right? Because that neighborhood that we're going to choose is most likely in the ROA. So we're already working with them. We're already doing that legwork. And we are going to have to create flyers and informational. And so we might as well put it on our website. We have a communications director. It's free to do that. And we're going to be generating all this information essentially. So absolutely,
Okay.
I 100% agree with you. We want to make this information widely available to everybody in the city.
Great.
Yeah, and put it in our newsletter. I mean, great to get not geographically encompassed, but get the willing looky-loos to come in and participate. Be great.
I also really like the use of this neighborhood because as I've been going around the town, it has seemed to me that there is a sense in some of these perimeter neighborhoods that they don't get the attention that they need. And I think that this is a wonderful way to focus on one of those neighborhoods that's on the perimeter of the city that could really appreciate being.
Yeah, and Azalea Park is used by a lot of that neighborhood too, which
Yeah.
is helpful. It's not totally tucked away and hidden.
Yeah, and it looks like, so you reduced the cost by significantly more than the 20,000, it sounds like.
No, so here's the previous one. It was $81,000 for the
Okay,
previous scope.
right.
And this one is $73,000. So about $8,000 is what this reduction is.
Chair.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So the 81,000, does that cover, is that also a portion of neighborhoods or is that the whole?
It's all of Snoqualmie Ridge is really what this was focused on.
So for $8,000 less, we're just targeting a smaller group, right? So wouldn't it be better to target the whole neighborhood?
So that's,
You're making a bang for
3,000
your
more?
buck argument.
Right, you get
So-
everyone.
so that leads to my staff recommendation, which, I work for you guys. Whatever you guys want to do is what I'm going to do. It'll check the box, so I'm happy either way on the NPDS permit. But my recommendation is going for the original option, the entire Snoqualmie Ridge for $81,000, just because it's $8,000 more. While every dollar counts, I do think that incorporating the entire Snoqualmie Ridge is worth that $8,000 extra, in my opinion. But again, it's your guys' decision at the end of the day. That's it. That's what I've got.
Thomas?
Take it to council.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a reasonable suggestion. And I think also the idea that we do get unfunded mandates, and the way this one has been tackled has been to make it a mostly funded mandate. And I also appreciate the conscientious suggestion that for a relatively, 10% more, we can hit the whole city instead of a single neighborhood. That's a strong argument to me. So, but I think that anybody who disagrees with that should say it loud
Well,
when we take it to council.
you had citizens in here talking about the rate
Straight
last
up.
time.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, if we are not managing this, we'll be right back to citizens in here talking to us about not liking the rates. So we had to ask the question
Mhm.
to drive a relook of, again, what is the minimum service to meet the requirement at an appropriate cost?
Right.
Okay, so we can have the discussion at council. Do you want to go for bang for the buck? Or you want to go for, again, the service to meet the requirement at the reasonable cost?
Sure.
And council members can vote the way they want.
Well, I think there are other things that the public also cares about. I think the public does genuinely care about diminishing the amount of pollutants they're putting into the stormwater system. So I think that is also of benefit to our citizens because they're not pouring their motor oil down the storm drain.
Most are not. Most are not.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. And so I'll plan to come to council and bring essentially both options forward is what I've heard,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
You got it. Okay.
All right. Hold on, let me bring up my thing.
Whoa,
No tripping.
Patrick set that trap.
All right, we'll fix that in post. Okay, and now we're on AB 25-113. Awarding contract for 2025 sidewalk repair and replacement project. All right, who's gonna talk to us about sidewalks? Who,
All right. Good evening again. So unfortunately, I
sorry,
do,
could you state your
sorry,
name?
Patrick
Yeah.
Fry, project engineer with the city. And so I am here to discuss AB 25-113, which is awarding Sascon LLC for the 2025. Sorry, I just got a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, hang on.
So this would be awarding Sascon LLC for the 2025 sidewalk contract. And so let me share my screen. While I don't have a presentation, I do have a couple of informational bits to share with you. Oops. A little too zoomed in for not readable. Readable-ish. Okay, so this is, standard procedure. We've done this a handful of times now, but what I do is we go out to bid every other year with the sidewalk contract. We have a biennial budget for it, or program in our CIP is what we keep. It's roughly $400,000 every biennium for this sidewalk work. The last one was done in 2023. So here we are, 2025, doing it again. So we put it out to bid in early October. It was out to bid for 3 weeks and we got a total of 10 bids. So that's an excellent turnout for reference. 10 is outstanding. And the results were very competitive. I would say it was significantly under my estimate. From my estimate, I just used 2 years ago's contract with a 6% escalator, fairly standard. And my estimate was it was going to be just under $350,000. And so the low bid at $259,000 is really good pricing. And we'll notice that, the next second lowest bidder was $600 more. The next one was about $7,000 more than that. So it was really tight is what I'm trying to get into. This was a really competitive market right now. Contractors are hungry. And so this is good pricing. I have checked with their references, generally positive reviews for this company. So there's no concerns with working for them. They have proved to be the lowest responsible bidder. And as part of this contract, it's about 75 locations to be replaced within the city, and then about another 75 locations to be ground. And that's the plan for this contract. And that's all I've got for you. Yep.
So we haven't worked with this particular contractor before, but have we worked with any of the other 10 that bid?
We have, yep. So RRJ was the third lowest bidder. We'd work with them. We've worked with Northwest Cascade, but they were the highest bidder. Yeah, so
And have they all done similar jobs? Do you feel, I mean, as far as performance, quality of work and things like that, would you feel that the ones that we've worked with before, everybody's like kind of on the same level, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out.
yeah, so just for reference, RRJ, we've worked with them. They do a lot of like the mid-range size projects that we do, and Northwest Cascade does much larger scale is what I would say. They do kind of run the gamut, but Northwest Cascade usually does multi-million-dollar projects like what North Bend is going on with their sewer renovations right now. I believe that's Northwest Cascade. And
Yeah. that is.
so that's kind of the reasoning why I would think that they just were the high bidder on this one, is this is just a little smaller than what they typically
Yeah.
bid on.
When we get two bids that are essentially the same, is the tiebreaker the $600?
Lowest bidder.
It's just that when you're talking about a difference of 0.1%, it's still we gotta.
We got to go with
we
the
gotta
lowest
go with
bidder.
Lowest bidder.
Yep,
Okay,
lowest responsive, responsible bidder,
all right, and,
which Sascon has proved it to be.
right,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So, yep, it's definitely tough to be the second lowest bidder in this situation. It hurts, I can imagine, to lose by $600, but
Yeah. Anybody else got anything else?
Is
Take-
is this a firm fixed contract?
sorry, say again?
Is this time and material firm fixed or not to exceed?
It's time and materials. So it's unit price that's on the contract. So it's by square yard is what typically concrete sidewalks are. I think the grind locations are per each, so, but as these sidewalks typically do, sometimes you pull them up and there's more roots than you expect and you have to move it over a foot or you have to do an extra foot or two of sidewalk replacement. And so that would be priced on additional square yard that they bid on. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so you're saying it's time and material.
Yep.
All right, so if that becomes prevalent in the project, it's up to us to adjust.
Exactly.
We do to maintain within. Okay.
Yeah, so we do have that $25,000 in minor change. That's in there just because we expect minor changes throughout the project. And I don't want to have to come to bother you guys when there's each and every little minor change.
But for $600, you can't consider it. That's interesting. All right.
No,
That's interesting.
that's there for us.
Right, but what if the second bidder was somebody that we've worked with, a dozen times, gotten fantastic, accurate bids from, and the other one was one that we weren't familiar with, and they were under by 600, knowing that there was a $25,000 fund to take care of any extras. I'm not expecting a perfect system. I'm just trying to understand the system we got. That's all. How do we want this one to move forward? Consent?
Consent.
Yeah.
It's already been budgeted for.
Consent. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks.
All right. And now we're on AB 25-102, application for exemption from SMC and a bunch of numbers and letters.
Good evening, Hind Ahmed, project engineer with the city. I'm here for AB 25-102, application for exemption from SMC 9.36. This is public noise disturbance. So this application is from WashDOT. WashDOT has applied for exemption for the public noise disturbance for their project. They're having a regional project, maintenance project around most of the state routes and interstate. The map shows the part of the project that will impact the city limit. In the map, you will see most of the project falls within Fall City, and around only 2,000 linear feet of that is part of city of Snoqualmie limit. Can we go to the previous one? The map? Yeah. So you can see the box down there. This is a part of the project that will be within the city limits. So basically, they are working on maintaining the road service. The work will be crack sealing and asphalt patching. The only impacted area there is the Salish Lodge. So within 500 feet of the project, we don't have any residential area. We only have one hotel there within the limit. So what they're asking for is 4 non-consecutive days for work, and those 4 days are night work during the week, not weekend. And they're planning to do the work anytime between March 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. They don't have this project out to bid yet. They're requesting the exemption before going out to bid. They're also willing to add any conditions that the city have on this exemption to their contract. So the contractor will be aware of any condition we'll put here before awarding the contract. The noise level, I think the loudest thing will be a jackhammer, and then they have air hose. That's the loudest thing, that loudest equipment they will have there. They also gave us their plan on how to mitigate the noise, and their communication plan also, how they're going to communicate with the impacted areas around the project. So you can see on the agenda bill, we're recommending granting the exemption with condition. And what we see is we will need at least to know the time for the work to happen. We will need to notify the public of the work. And then we need to make sure that also are in communication with the impacted areas around the project. So from a traffic standpoint, working on the project at night will reduce the impact on traffic. That will also reduce any impact that could happen into our city roads. If the traffic start backing up in 202, we can see traffic in Snoqualmie Parkway. We can see lots of traffic also on the downtown area. It's also safer for the public. At night, you don't have like lots of traffic, so less of impact on safety, on the public, and also on the workers. And with this project also going on summer, lots of traffic for the falls. So if you have construction by the Salish Lodge, people are trying to get into the fall. And we all know about the traffic when getting into the parking across the street from the Salish Lodge. We can increase that also if we rejected this and we had them working throughout the day. So it's also helpful for us, for our residents, to have this exemption at night for those 4 days. But yeah, it's up to the council to decide. But the recommendation is move to accept with condition. I have stated 4 conditions, but we can add to the conditions as well.
Yeah,
Well, first I'd like to say that I would hate to be staying at the Salish Lodge on one of these nights when they're having the jackhammers and the air hoses running, since they're really going to be the only ones affected with the immediate noise problem. So, I mean, obviously they're outside of the city limits. So is WashDOT petitioning other, like the Salish, for exemption to go forward with this, or are there any restrictions being imposed by them?
So for WashDOT, they have a communication process. So they will communicate with Salish about the days of the work, and they're petitioning the city for exemption because the work is in the city limits.
I mean, it seems like with what you've presented, everything's, trying to be mitigated. So, and definitely the least impact is going to be doing it at night.
well,
But I'll let you know if I hear them from my house, okay, Hind?
yeah, it doesn't sound to me like any Snoqualmie taxpayers are going to be affected.
No.
Mayor?
So does it take into account different events that might be happening during that time?
Yeah, I think one of the condition is we ask them not to have the closure on any of big city events. So I added that to the conditions. You can read that out.
Or even during World Cup and things like that? There's a time period that people will be visiting Snoqualmie and the area. So
I think we can, so what condition we can put there if we want to spill out the days that we want grant them the exemption on those dates, we can put that in the conditions as well.
June, July, and August.
And then what time is this exemption for? Is it start 10 PM or is it?
So for us, I think it's from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.,
Okay.
Mondays through Thursdays. Um, yeah, 9 to 5 only.
Thank you.
See, there's only one business affected. Can we talk to them before we do this as opposed to after we do this?
Make sure I understand, so they're asking for a real broad period of attention. They have not even hired a contractor yet, right?
Speak into the mic, please.
If you can find one.
Jeff Hamlin, your Parks and Public Works Director. So the WashDOT has not hired a contractor yet. So they're out getting exemptions, seeking these exemptions for all areas that'll be impacted. I'm sure they're doing the same thing with King County. And, and I don't know where else they're doing this, but I believe that this is pretty much focused between Fall City and Snoqualmie. Do you know?
There is other areas around the region.
Yeah, other areas around the region. So the broad region. So they're reaching out to all the communities, but they're really just seeking this exemption, this night work exemption from all communities in advance. That will impact the kind of bids that they get, right? So if they have these exemptions in place, then the contractor doesn't have to factor that uncertainty into his bid, right? So what we have done though, as a condition, is require WashDOT to correspond with all impacted people. In this case, it's the Salish Lodges. They're the only ones.
Mouth of Palm Mouth.
Right. So they will coordinate the work with those folks and let them know that they're coming. And then if there's blackout dates that we want to impose, we can do that as well.
Please, I don't know the hotel business, so I don't know when they're busy and when they're not busy. They may have a preference to say, I don't get anybody in August. Can you do it in August? And I just like to have
So I think
that kind of feedback beforehand.
they are in contact with the director of rooms at Salish Lodge. So the WashDOT mentioned that they have been in contact with the director of rooms at Salish Lodge, and they're planning to also communicate with them on the days of the construction as well. So is it up to the city to?
And that's kind of my point. The Salish Lodge does not get to put constraints on this. The city does. So if there are constraints that need to be put in place for Salish Lodge business and one other concern, we need to act on their behalf. Okay, so, and again, it's, just talk to them. I mean, I don't know the hotel business. I barely do well when I stay at hotels. So if, August is a bad month for them or July is a bad month for them, let's get that feedback and get this rolled in. I don't think they get, again, I would not go as far as to allow them to say, I don't want this to happen at night. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen at night. How can we best help you in your business doing that, knowing you're gonna be right there? But
We can contact Salish Lodge and then see if they have any special condition that we want to add
Please.
to our condition. That could be something.
please do. I'd rather do it, like I said, before instead of after, because after could cause us some grief.
I do think that it is also in our best interest to help WashDOT save as much money as possible because we want them to give us some of that money. So the more we can do to help in that respect.
That's
the
why
better.
I'm always, so far, the Salish is not allowed to say, this can't happen at night in front of the hotel. Too far.
Agreed.
But we can do some other discussions to see if they have any other concerns.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I can reach out to Salish Lodge, and if they have any condition, we can add that when we're moving to council with that, or
Can you do that in the next 2 weeks
Yeah.
or next week?
I can try to call them tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Any
you.
question?
Thank you, Hand.
Thank you.
All right. And that brings us to the Snoqualmie Valley Health Lift Station update.
So is that consent or non-consent?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Back to.
Non-consent
Yeah.
to hear
'Cause
back.
we've got
on that.
conditions that we gotta look at.
I'm sorry, or do you want us to bring it back to the committee after we found out if the tribe wants any conditions?
What's our, I'm sorry, Patrick. Are there any kind of time constraints on this that we need to consider? Beginning of December?
Yeah, so they're going to bid beginning of December. So if we came back to committee and council again, I think we won't hit that deadline.
Yeah, I think if it's possible, could we take it to council with the new information? Would that work?
Yeah, I mean,
with
let's
you
put it
guys?
on. If you don't have time to do the coordination, we'll pull it that night.
Does that work?
Get it to council with coordination or without coordination? What?
If
Are-
you don't have time, we'll pull it.
Okay, yeah,
But if you're able to get this done, then let's just take it to.
I think it's easy to get it done. I'll just try to get in contact with them starting tomorrow. And if we couldn't get anything, I'll reach out and pull it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, make sure there's some follow-up and documentation of the conversation with Salish.
All right. Brief lift station, sorry, Patrick Fry, project engineer, Parks and Public Works. Brief update on the BP lift station. So we, like what the last two discussions was, essentially we were collecting data. We pulled the data, right? Now we've analyzed the data. Essentially what we've learned is our pumps are adequately sized. We don't need to upsize the pumps for this project. It wouldn't really do anything for us, and they are functioning great. They're rated for 750 GPM, and they function between 700 and 725 GPM, which is really, that's excellent considering. And our force mains are adequately sized as well. It doesn't look like we need to upsize that, which essentially just means all we need to do is upsize the wet well. So really, it's just coming down to the size of that wet well and where it needs to be placed, which is all good news because it means that we're going to be under budget for this. So if you remember, the discussion was if we weren't going to need the full alternatives analysis, bringing 3 different designs to 30%, then we wouldn't, and that's what we're going to do. Did I phrase that right? We will not be bringing 3 different alternatives to 30% design because it's just not necessary. Like we said that we would. So that's great. So that's where we're at.
Sounds like best possible scenario.
Best possible scenario in that way. Yep.
So is the proposal gonna be to dig another wet well or to increase the size of the existing ones?
Dig another wet well. Yep. Yeah,
You just have to figure out the best place to put it.
exactly. And so it'll just be additional storage for that wet well. Yep. And so we just have to.
You already talked to the hospital people about that?
No, not yet. So
Well, this was the hospital solution, but at least now you have facts and data leading to that solution.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there wasn't, we had an educated guess, this is where it would lead, but we want to move on. More than an educated guess is essentially it. And so now we have, and
I think you did it the right way, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's where we're at now. So we just are going to be working through that over the next few weeks. And then we'll be coming forward with, that
It also seems to
information.
me like this is done earlier than we were initially thinking.
Not necessarily
No.
because it's not done yet, right? So the alternatives analysis was going to be, we were projecting that at end of November-ish, right? And
Still hoping for that?
we're still open for that. Yep. There's no reason we aren't expecting that. But we're not at the full 30% design yet. We're at incredibly preliminary design of
But getting this done before December is realistically possible.
is realistically possible for
That's
sure.
Fantastic.
Yep. And so we'll be coming to you in January for the next contract because trying to bring a contract forward in mid-December sounds like it might be problematic, just due to holidays. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Way to go. You're like a hero, Patrick.
A super-
That brings us to the end of the thing, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn
So move.
unless somebody's got something else.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.